for minor attracted people. It's a disgusting, politically correct term for pedophiles.
The left wants to normalize pedos. That's fucking insane. It's so easy to understand. People with depression sometimes get so sick in the head that they want to harm themselves. So what do we do to reduce the likeliness of that? We tell them, if you ever have these thoughts, come to the hospital. There's treatment. We will help you. We want to make sure that you and everyone else is safe, okay? We want to cause the least amount of harm. And the way that we can do that the best is if you tell us yourself, not your parents when they call for us to pick up your fucking body out of the closet. You know what I mean? So what do you think would happen if we told people with depression, people who were having suicide shots, what if we said, if I heard someone that had suicidal thoughts, I would burn them alive! I would tell the whole town and we'd go and we'd all rip their limbs off. Are you going to tell anyone ever? Or are you just going to sit alone in your bedroom and cry at night knowing that you can't get any help or seek any resources and your brain is telling you something that you do not want to do? You want to stop yourself. But if we make those people try to solve the issue that's really fucked themselves, rather than with professionals, then they're more likely to do it. So would you prefer that children come forward and tell you, hey, so-and-so has these thoughts and acts on them? Or would you rather so-and-so just come and tell you that they have these thoughts and they haven't acted on them yet and they don't want to and they want to make them stop and they want to figure out why the fuck they're happening in the first place because they feel like a horrible person? Do you understand how easy that is to understand? When depression started becoming trendier, there became support groups for people with depression so that you know there's a community of people like you who are struggling who can give you resources on how not to do bad things. It's just like people who, they ask you, do you have thoughts of harming yourself or others? There's people who have homicidal thoughts. And what do? We say, if you have them, come forward, we'll treat you. Would you rather your family member come forward and say, I have thoughts about da-da-da-da-da? Or would you prefer that they keep that to themselves? And I ask a lot of people this question and they go, don't ever tell me something like that. That's sick. I don't ever want to hear anything like that. Really? Has your child ever been assaulted before? Because that's the way you could have prevented it. So you would prefer your kid get assaulted than you have to deal with the uncomfortable information that someone else is having horrible thoughts about children. That's pretty fucking selfish, and it seems like you don't actually want to protect children at all. You just want to feel more comfortable. And that is fucked. A great example of people not wanting to stop the problem is how they hide kids. To make it easier for the pedo to hide because it makes them more comfortable. You could be sitting at a kid's fucking birthday party, and some kid's dad will say to another kid's mom, hey, I don't think it's appropriate that Sarah be wearing that because some weirdo here could be looking at her and getting all crazy thoughts and be unable to control themselves. So I think you should cover him up. Hi, sir, can you please come outside with us for a second? Yeah, so you're now put on a mandatory psychiatric hold and you're going to be in mandatory parenting classes and you will not be able to see your child up until then because you have suggested that you have some very sick thoughts about children that are not normal, and we're going to get you some help so that we can protect children. Is that normal? Is that how people respond? No. Instead, everyone around hears someone say some predatory shit about kids and goes, you know what? Yeah, some sicko, I don't know who, anyone in the room it could be, probably not this guy who said it out loud explicitly, but someone here could be thinking weird shit. So you're actually a bad parent for not hiding your kid. You're pretty much taunting. You're taunting the guy. Let him stay. Make that mom leave. What the fuck? Someone has just acknowledged to you that they have predatory thoughts, and instead of stopping them, everyone jumps on the bandwagon and is like, yeah, we need to think more like predators more often, because that way we'll be able to stop them, even though they're pointing them out directly in front of our faces. And that is not enough for us to notice them. We just want to pretend that it's not existing, so we'll all just think like the pedos. What the fuck? It's just like dads who say, I'm not comfortable with changing my baby girl's diaper because she's a girl. If it was a boy, I'd do it. Because you're attracted to women? That is influencing the fact that you don't want to change your child's diaper? You mandatory therapy immediately. You should not be unsupervised with that child until you work through the fact that you sexualize children so much that you're willing to verbalize it out loud to your spouse and not even know there's anything wrong with that. I understand and I know why they do that, but that doesn't mean that's acceptable. I understand why, and now you need to fix it and you need to work on yourself because that is a giant fucking red flag that no one should ever be understanding of. It is currently normalized to make predatory comments about children and about women all day, every day. People frame it as protecting women. But then they freak out when they're like, you're trying to normalize pedos. No, we're trying to normalize when they make comments that Republicans like you make, they need to go into a mental health ward, not to Congress. And because it's so normalized, people have this idea that child abusers were always that way. They were just born fucked up. They were born sick in the head. They don't want to take any responsibility for the fact that they contribute to a society that grooms people to behave like that. When you have everyone going around, oh, that fucking toddler can't wear a bikini because someone would be thinking weird, you're teaching the 5-year-old boy, oh, someone would think something like that about, I never even knew that was a thing before. That never once ever crossed my mind, ever, actually. And now you're raised to constantly think about that. In fact, you're willing to tell other people, other mothers, hey, your kid shouldn't do that because apparently it's super, super normal for people to think fucked up shit about that toddler. Yeah, you are normalizing it. You're the one doing it. And the reality is, frankly, I don't know the numbers, but a fair amount, probably the majority, a lot of people who have thoughts about abusing children and who abuse children were abused as children. They are victims of pedos who now don't feel like they have any resources or anywhere to go to say, I'm having these fucked up thoughts, these evil fucked up thoughts that the person who harmed me had. Do you know how much of a mental fuck that is? Are you kidding me? They need to know that there's resources out there to help them and that they're not a bad person just because they're having intrusive thoughts, okay? And that goes for all people who have mental conditions that give them intrusive thoughts. I have sick, evil, disgusting, illegal, intrusive thoughts all the time. My brain, it's like my intrusive thoughts remind me of Tourette's. My brain thinks of the most fucked up, disgusting, horrific thing that would be inappropriate in that morning and throws that idea into my mind. That is not a reflection of me or my character because I would never do any of those things. But people don't have resources to know about that even now, even that, just that intrusive thought, let alone people who have thoughts about harming children as victims of it. So like a huge percentage of people who harm children aren't just born sick in the head, and we can prevent them. Like, if we take victims of child abuse, keep an eye on them, and encourage them to know if you ever have thoughts about that yourself, it would make sense considering to your trauma, and there's things we can do to ensure that that never happens, because of course you would never want that to happen because you know what it's like to be a victim of it. But people's minds do fucking crazy shit, right? And we are aware of it, so we know how to stop it, which is by getting them to say it first, not waiting until they act on it, and then we find out from the kids. Y'all, it's so easy to understand. Every time I hear this, there was a TED Talk that went around years ago of people being like, this is so fucked. They're trying to act like this is normal. No, the exact opposite. It should be normal now that if you have predatory thoughts, you seek help, that you know they're wrong. Not if you have predatory thoughts, say them out loud and say that the kid should cover up. And then everyone around you go, yeah! Yeah! The fact that my teachers would say to me in school, Jessica, you can't wear a shirt that low because I'm just really getting really distracted and I can't do my job and teach. And you're like, you're underage, which is illegal, and it makes me uncomfortable that I'm having... You should be in jail. You should be in jail. The fact that you thought that that was okay to say out loud and that it was my responsibility, you need psychological treatment. But instead, everyone in the school was like, yeah, oh, poor guy. I know how hard it is when these children are coming around and developing. It's so hard for us to control. Good job. No. The answers are super, super easy. You want the people who are having fucked up thoughts to know that they can get help before they act on them so they don't act on them. Simple as that. But you already know that. You just like to be a right-wing reactionist because you're trans and people think that you speak for all type of sexuality and that they're trying to identify MAPS as just another sexuality. The queers are great. Get the fuck out of here.